Hello friends, today I want to share with you a fun project using the Artistically Asian set. I've kept this project really clean and using kind of traditional or expected Asian colors, the red, white, and the black. I've designed this one up to open up like a screen. So let's get started. First of all, we'll just show you the stamp set. Is Artistically Asian, and I believe this one is $40 in New Zealand. And I have taken a Sharpie pen and written right on my case that this particular symbol means faith in God, and this particular symbol means friendship, so you may wish to do the same. Okay, to get started, we will use our card base, which I have cut of basic black 6 inches by 12 inches. So I've used a 12 by 12 sheet here. And we want to score this into the 4 panels. So this is 12 inches. So divided into 4 is 3. So we want to score it every 3 inches. So at 3 inches, at 6 inches, and at 9 inches. Okay, then we will just crease that up. I'm just looking which way I did it, and you'll definitely want to use your bone folder and get that creased nice and flat, because you have 3 creases on this one instead of the usual 1. So the flatter you get those, the better your card will stay shut. Although I think this is the kind of card that you'd put it up on display and want it to open up a little bit. So if it's not perfectly flat, that's fine. The next thing we're using is the decorative label punch to create the little legs on the bottom of our Oriental screen. Now, I'm got it folded up, so this is going through 4 layers at once. This is not actually recommended, so you may not wish to do this with your punch. So what you want to do is make sure it's centered right and left, and it just about pretty much fits the punch, and then pull it up so it's a little bit less than halfway, and of course as even as you can eyeball it. So if you don't want to punch through 4 layers of cardstock at once, at least squeeze it and make some marks so that you can then punch it individually and just match up to the marks. I was successful earlier doing it through 4 layers, but you, instead of holding it down like this, you'll want to hold it up here like this, just to get a bit more leverage on that. Okay. All right, then that gives us our little screen shape with the little legs. Okay, then the next thing is our real red panels. I'll just maybe set that up there. So you need 4 of them, and 3 of them are going to be embossed and 1 isn't. So I've already embossed 2 of them, and I'm using the Seaside embossing folder. I thought this was quite a nice clean one for this style, but if there's something else you want to use, of course, use that. So how embossing works, you put the cardstock into the folder, and then using the Big Shot, going to put that in between the 2 acrylic plates. Now with embossing folders, you want to put it in seam first, especially with these 6x6 folders. You want to make sure that's in the correct way. Okay, move those. And then when you pull that out, you have your embossed piece. You could use either side. I'm going to use the embossed side rather than the debossed side. One of them I'm going to leave unembossed. I'll show you that in a minute, but that is personal preference. If you want to emboss all of them, you certainly can. So then these will go in like so, using a little bit of fast fuse. These 2. So I'm just eyeballing that. Now the unembossed one I'm going to put into the 3rd panel, and I'm just going to use this piece of real red to line up visually that piece of real red, and so on. So at least the real red pieces are all lined up approximately the same. Okay, then the front, I initially just put the red piece on and then just really felt like it was missing something. So I'm going to mat the front onto a piece of white that's just slightly bigger. And then this will go onto the front panel. But again, you'll want to, even though it's matted, I think you still will want to make sure those red pieces are visually lined up and straight. Okay, so on this piece that's unembossed, I've put in a piece of Whisper White and left that for any sentiments. So we can quickly stamp that up. I'm going to use the friendship words. So using the Memento Black, just make sure your words are right side up. You can stamp this wherever you'd like. I kind of liked it just down here in the bottom. And then using Real Red, stamping the symbol for friendship. And I'm just looking at the case to make sure that I've got that right side up. I don't claim to know anything about Asian characters or writing, so we'll just go with what the stamps tell us. Okay, so then that needs to be adhered in. And then we just need to do our card front. Okay, so you'll notice that this front panel I have hanging off the side. This card is only 3 inches wide, so you've got plenty of room for it to still fit in an envelope, and you have that nice extra dimension to it. So we've got our 2 pieces for the front, and I'm going to use these flowers here. But I want them in 2 colors. So I want them in the black and the red. So the easiest way to accomplish this with a stamp, with a rubber stamp, not so much the photopolymer ones, is to, use the markers. So I'm using the basic black marker and the real red marker. And I'm using the brush tip, not the writing tip, and using it on its side and just coloring in the pieces I want black. You don't really want to use the actual point of the marker. That's a real quick way to get your markers splayed. And you don't want that. Plus, it's a lot faster to use this side. Okay, then using the real red. There may be a bit of black mixed in there. That's okay. Okay, then from there you'll want to breathe on it, or as we call it, huffing. So you just huff on it just to make sure the ink is nice and wet. And then I'll stamp that onto my front piece. So you've got that two-toned image there. Now while I've got this stamp in my hand, I'm just grabbing the envelope and I'm going to huff on that again and stamp on the envelope. So it will be significantly lighter, but it does save inking it up again. Okay, then we will use the same Chinese symbol here, and this time we're going to gold emboss. So use your emboss buddy on this front panel, and then I've got Versamark. I know my Versamark is very dirty, but it still works. We'll put that kind of up in the corner. Oops. And I'm going to use gold. I think the gold and the red and the black go very well together. And then I'll heat that up. It looks kind of brown now, but it does turn to a nice gold color once it's been heated up. Okay. I know you probably can't see that very well in the video, but I will show this again in the pictures. So from there we can mount that onto our black piece, a black mat, I should say. Okay. Then There's a couple things I'm going to do to this before we put it on. First, I'm going to use the Wink of Stella pen. This is the clear one, and I'm just going to add a bit of this to the flowers, but I want you to just be careful. I don't know what it is about the red, but the red tends to bleed quite badly, just this particular color. So as you're putting the Wink of Stella on it, it just wants to bleed a bit, which you could go ahead and just let it bleed. But then I would definitely wipe your pen off, as you can see it's got red on it, so that the next time you use it, you don't have an unwanted color on there. So you could go with the bleeding look, or else just be aware of it and keep it to a minimum. Okay, then we're going to do the twine. Now I'm going to use the basic black twine and this gold twine. Now I'm filming this November 2016, and this gold twine is current. But if you happen to be watching this or making this project and this is no longer current, you could also use the gold metallic thread and just use 3 or 4 strands of it in place. It won't be quite as thick still, but it will certainly work. So from here, I'm just going to tie or wrap the twine around a few times and tie that into a knot on the left-hand side. And now I'm going to make kind of a fake tassel type thing. I meant to get a little template, I forgot. So I'm going to go ahead and just wrap it around my 4 fingers a few times. Maybe one more time. And I've made this actually quite long. So now I just have a little bundle of threads all the same length. I've made this too long. We'll end up cutting a lot of this off, but that's okay. You get the idea. So I'm going to tie that around where I have that knot. Tie them all together and tie it in a knot again. Or you could not tie them in a knot, if that makes sense, and just have them hanging. And then I'm going to take a piece of the gold twine. I've got quite a bit of it. And just kind of, this is a little bit fiddly to show on a video, but I'm just going to wrap that around the top of this little bundle of threads. So something like that. And then I think I'm actually going to wrap it around the back, just so that the knot's on the back. And I double knot it so that it doesn't come undone. Okay. Now that one's might behave. So we want them all to hang down. So now we're just going to take a good pair of scissors and just cut them off all together. And then you should get something that looks like a little tassel. Now you can leave those gold ones hanging down, or you can cut them quite short so they're not part of it. Okay, and just adjust it how you'd like. Now I'm going to put dimensionals, but just on the one side. If I can find my dimensionals. Here they are. Might even use my edge piece, because your edge pieces work well too. Okay. So then that, I prefer to open it up and have a look. I think I'm going to set it about like that. So when it's opened up, it looks like this. Okay, then I think the very last thing is to add some pearls. Now on this first sample, I put a few pearls here and there. I think on this one, because I was debating which way to do it, on this one I'm going to use, see on the side you get these strings of pearls? I think I'm going to use some strings of pearls for this one. So I'll just do maybe 5. And I'll put 5 down here. And I'll put 5 up here. Okay, so you can see both variations and see which one you like better. And then of course you have your matching envelopes there. So I hope that you've enjoyed, and we'll give this project a try. Thanks for watching.